Good morning, everyone. Welcome to QCC's Corporate Breakfast. My name is Liz Borg. I'm the Assistant Vice President for Community Engagement at QCC. And at today's event, you'll be hearing the latest from QCC on a number of fronts, and also some recent examples of innovative ways that local industry and the college are working together to meet current and projected workforce needs in our region. I'm going to be your MC this morning, so I'll try to keep things moving along. We have a lot to cover. So without further ado, I would like to introduce Stacy Du Bois-Lester, the chair of QCC's Board of Trustees, for some opening comments. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Liz, and thank you to the wonderful QCC staff for putting on such a marvelous breakfast. Let's give them a round of applause. I'm enjoying some chipotle cream that seems quite high-end and gourmet, which I've never had, so whoever is responsible for that, thank you very much. QCC is absolutely thrilled to be here. On behalf of the Board of Trustees, we'd like to thank all of you. We have at least two members of the Board of Trustees that are here right now that I'd like to acknowledge. Ron Josephson, Ron's right over there. And Ed Moore, there he is in the back. Ed, thank you for coming. And we are expecting several others. QCC is committed to being a responsive partner with industry, and we are absolutely delighted to see so many of you here today. It is obviously with you and for you that QCC is as great as it is, and so this is an opportunity for us to enjoy each other and continue to charge the path forward. So wonderful to see so many people here today. As you may know, and if you don't know, let me be the first to tell you, we are embarking upon our 50th anniversary here at Quinsigamond Community College, 50 years. We have been working to provide, as you know, because you are the beneficiaries of our work, high quality, relevant education, and our students are employed in your companies and more will be employed as we go forward. Quinsigamond now has over 80 programs. I don't think people realize how large we are. We're one of the largest institutions of higher education in the region, serving over 9,000 residents. So we are a major player, and we are there to be relevant for you. So we need to keep these lines of communications open so that you can assure us and we can assure you that we are providing the workforce that you need that is relevant to the needs of your changing industries. We are marking our expansion, as I hope you know, about our wonderful facility in Southbridge. I don't know how many of you have been to Southbridge to see that amazing facility that is almost at capacity. We need to expand that quickly. So if you haven't been there, go there, because Southbridge is absolutely amazing. And hopefully you have seen that we are making our mark back downtown in Worcester as we take over the Telegram and Gazette building. And so our healthcare facilities will be rising out of the center of Worcester, downtown Worcester. So if you haven't seen us, come see us. We are definitely a visible, viable presence in the city of Worcester that will be serving your needs and the needs of our students. So this is the beginning of our invitation to you to please partner with us even more. We have many partnerships, but there's much more that we can do, and we're looking for you to help us launch the next 50 years. So thank you for being here, and I look forward to talking with each and every one of you in the future.
Thank you, Stacy. And next, please say hello to Dr. Gail Carberry, president of Quinsigamond Community College, whose entrepreneurial vision and leadership has guided the college for nearly the past 7 years. Dr. Carberry.
Good morning. I did get a chance to say hello to some of you personally. I will try and get around a little bit later if I haven't had a chance to shake your hand. Thank you for coming on this frosty morning. We thought spring was here, but maybe it's around the corner. We certainly hope so. Let me take a moment to introduce a few of our elected officials who have joined us this morning. Senator Michael Moore, nice to see you. Representative Peter Durant was planning to be here. I hear he had a fender bender last night, but his aide, Joe McKenna, is here. Yeah, Joe, nice to see you. Representative Mary Keefe, did you make it yet? She may be a little delayed. Kevin Kuros, Representative Kevin Kuros. Thank you for coming. Appreciate it so much. Representative George Peterson, I haven't seen him yet. Is he on his way? Maybe, I think so. He's always been a great friend of the college. Also, Worcester City at-large counselor Michael Gaffney is here this morning. Nice to see you, Michael. And Marlborough at-large city councilor Trish Pope. Nice to see you as well. Foundation board members, Quinsigamond has a strong partnership with the private community in our region. Many have stepped up to be part of our Community College Foundation. They are the fundraising, and loving Quinsigamond Community College arm of the college. And so let me take a moment to introduce these fine people. Jesse Kaplan is here. Jesse, nice to see you. Brian Shanley. Brian. Jack Coutone. Jack. Deborah Harmon-Hines. Jeannie Hebert. Jim Hugazian. Ron Josephson, who was introduced also as a trustee, and he's also an alum. Let's see, Sue Mailman. And Eric Dunphy. Are there any members of the legislative delegation that I haven't mentioned who are here, or any members of the foundation board? Maddie Castile, okay, one of our trustees. Maddie, please. Maddie, thank you for coming. So, I really appreciate the hard work that everyone does for Quinsigamond Community College, my own staff, the trustees, the foundation board, many of our corporate partners. We don't do it alone. We are the community's college. The name community means a lot to us, and we are about partnerships and alliances and building good things for the greater Worcester community. Today we're going to talk about working together, which we do, to develop talent for today's innovation economy and workforce. You know, there was a time when 20% of young people went on to college and majored in liberal arts and managed to find jobs. Today, that's not the case. To push our economy forward here in Massachusetts, full 80% of students have to go on to college and get some form of post-secondary education, generally in a high-skilled area. These are changing times. If America is to compete globally, and if Massachusetts is to compete globally, and if Worcester County is to compete globally, we have to be certain that our young people are well educated and that those who are in our workforce continue to be educated to be part of the economic mainstream. As a regional leader, our mission is for education and workforce development. We serve the diverse educational needs of central Massachusetts by providing affordable, accessible, and high-quality programming, leading to transfer, career, and lifelong learning. Mission statements can become kind of stale if you don't breathe life into them on a regular basis. And Quinsigamond attempts to breathe life into it by pulling from the wonderful community that we serve the information that we need to stay current and to enable our students to be part of what it is that everyone in our community does on a day-to-day basis. Work like crazy. Our service territory consists of 45 cities and towns in central Massachusetts. Our sister institution, Mount Wachusett Community College, takes the northern frontier, and we, as Quinsigamond Community College, serve the balance of the Worcester County area. We've seen 56% enrollment growth since 2006. We have the lowest state allocation per full-time equivalent student in the Commonwealth. That's in part because of our growth, but in part because of historical funding situations that we will talk a little bit about later, that our great legislature has begun to remedy through performance-based funding. We've seen a 20% drop in state funding since 2006, but it has not deterred us. As our wonderful trustee chair, Stacy Luster, has told you, we're opening a downtown campus. We opened a campus in Southbridge. We have not been deterred to serve the people of our region and to serve businesses that need our support in this community. Well, here's a graph. You know, you begin to see what it is we do and how we've done it. You had 2005 at this end and 2012 at that end, and you begin to see the graduates that Quinsigamond has produced over that 7-year period of time. So the red bar, I'm told, is business. You can see that the business graduates have really pressed forward. You can see that the technologies, the golden bar, has really pressed forward in terms of our graduates. Our healthcare graduates at the top, the kind of bluish bar, have remained fairly stable. We've gone up and down a little bit. We're poised to take another leap as we open a branch campus, begin to add some new programs and services. And the green bar is human services. Human services include criminal justice. They include our fire science and our police, our early childhood education, and the programs that we do to prepare people to support the individuals in our community who need our help. So you can see Quinsigamond has not only been on the rise in terms of its enrollment, but also in terms of the graduates that it brings into the community to support it. Our latest iteration of a mascot is what we call a wyvern. It's a winged dragon with its arms unfurled. It's great wings spreading over the community of Worcester. We chose the wyvern because a wyvern is the guardian protector, we are told, of Worcester, England. We see ourselves as guardian protectors of the community that we serve here in the greater Worcester area. Geographically, we have a main campus on West Boylston Street. We have here the Worcester Senior Center, our wonderful hotel restaurant management program. I'm told it's now called Hotel and, Kathy, help me with this. Hospitality and Recreation. We are prepping for the, the new casino wave that's going to come. We have a campus in Southbridge, now seats about 750 students. We have our automotive program at Burncoat High School, and that's a wonderful program. Some of the Burncoat students also are involved in that program and get an opportunity for dual enrollment. And we have expanded into Marlborough in 2010. We're working with partners at Assabet Valley Technical High School, using facilities, co-using facilities. We brought some solar voltaic facilities into that particular site to help advance their curriculum and our own, and they've allowed us to use some of their technical facilities at the same time. It's about partnership. It's about alliances. It's about making a whole that's greater than the sum of its parts. Our next efforts, as Chairman Luster indicated, is downtown, 75,000 square feet of space, not just for healthcare. It is a stone's throw down from the main South area. We will be offering adult basic education and English as a second language programming there. We're also going to step up on our workforce development non-credit side of the equation there. And one of the things that we have discovered as we've moved forward is that the traditional semester education process does not work for everyone. If you become unemployed in October, you don't want to wait till the January semester to begin to be reschooled. So as part of our ability to expand space and become more creative, our downtown campus will begin to use some computer-based technology and other opportunities to help people get back into the workforce more quickly. We have strong partnerships with the Workforce Investment Board. We're moving forward to ensure that people who are dislocated from their jobs or who need more advanced training can get it immediately. We're moving into the Blackstone Valley region. We're having strong conversations with partners out there. We may begin with some concurrent enrollment in the high schools in the near term, leading hopefully, if resources become available, to a satellite campus in that region as well. We try to shorten the distance, not only in terms of geography, but in terms of the pathways that students can use to get to their career goals. Shortening the distance in terms of program, our transfer programs, not only from the associate degree to the baccalaureate degree, and believe me, we have more than 200 firm transfer agreements with colleges at the baccalaureate level. We also have transfer agreements with high schools, where the credits that students take in CAD and a number of other technical areas begin to transfer over to Quinsigamond Community College. Transfer pathways are what it's about: seamless education, enabling people to use what they've learned. Transfer for us also extends into the workforce development arena. Most recently, with the Mass Manufacturing Extension Partnership, we built an alliance where 26 credits of apprenticeship training in manufacturing technology now serves as a cluster of education accepted for credit at Quinsigamond Community College. We respect the learning that has gone on. That was not an easy process. To ensure the integrity of our mutual curriculum, we determined about 18 months worth of discussion was necessary to begin to put together something that we all felt extraordinarily proud of. When those individuals transfer those credits in, they can continue on to an associate degree online. And so we believe that we're helping the manufacturers move more readily forward, the workforce that they need for the future. College readiness. We're currently working with the Worcester Public Schools, particularly on a math pipeline. You know, we hear about STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math. M is mathematics. It's the baseline upon which everything else rests. You cannot become a technician, you cannot become an individual who works in today's modern manufacturing world, you cannot become an engineer without mathematics. So we've been working with the Worcester Public Schools. We've put in place what we call boot camps. We're giving infusions of intensive mathematics support. I think we had over 100 students just go through an Accuplacer testing from the Worcester Public Schools this week. They will be prepared to take boot camps with us. Hopefully they will graduate from high school with college readiness. That's a barrier that many people face when they graduate from high school, the mathematics readiness equation. We're going to continue to expand that pathway. At this point in time, Worcester Public Schools and Quinsigamond Community College have worked together to build the fourth year mathematics course in the Worcester Public Schools, Math 4, which is a college readiness course. Online, we have 2,500 students a semester matriculating, moving forward. We have 5 full programs online. We are extending the reach in terms of our programming. The high school transition through STEM, I think I've mentioned previously, and the non-credit apprenticeship pathways I've also mentioned. It's about moving forward collectively with everyone in our community, pulling together to build a strong economy. We're moving forward now. Quinsigamond stepped up as a prime grantee on a $20 million Department of Labor grant. Key to some of that is our ability to build stackable, accelerated programming in 6 key industry sectors: business and technology, ABE, ESL, healthcare, science and human services, and liberal arts. That's only a portion of it. The stackable certificates that we will be doing with DOL are also in the areas of IT, healthcare, manufacturing, finance, and life sciences. Thank you, Dale. Lots of information. I try and keep most of it in my head, but sometimes it doesn't stay. So here's a list of some of the partners that we work with. Our ability to build a talented workforce means that we need to reach out to the industry, and the industry needs to reach back to us. Our opportunities for students through cooperative education, through workforce training, through a number of other issues that they will provide to us in terms of curriculum and support, means that we can reach more people, enable more people to be job ready when they walk through the doors of a business. You can see that there are so many people who have been working with us over these, and this is just a small example of the people who have stepped up with us. Dale, I'm going to let you take on this piece.
One of the things we looked at last year and started to share is for Sigma Community College, what's the return on the investment that the state has for us, and what's our economic impact and contribution overall to our region of 45 cities and towns. Interestingly, the folks from Economic Modeling Systems Inc. did a study for us last year about this time and found that with the resources that we receive, we actually see a return of about 9.2% per year to the state for their investment. We actually see an increase of output for businesses of about $46 million per year based on our students and alumni who go on to work for them. And on average, there's added income due to the activities of QCC and our students and alumni of about $266 million in the region. And again, beyond the educational impact that we have, there is a true economic impact that's occurring. As a side note, I would say, I'll use Southbridge as an example. When we opened a campus there in 2009, one of the intended consequences that we as an institution and our board of trustees wanted to have was the economic impact in the local region, where our students and employees didn't go to a cafeteria on our site, but instead go to the restaurants in town and go to the stores in town and try to make sure that our impact is felt more broadly. The same can be true, and my colleague Steve Marini will describe to you in a moment, our downtown facility. The same notion is true there, is that when our students and employees are going to a new facility, we want the broader impact throughout the region. One of the things that is currently going on in discussion in the State House among legislative leaders, the President mentioned that we were the lowest funded by FTE among community colleges earlier in terms of our appropriation. There's been a lot of work over the last 3 years about a new funding mechanism for community colleges. And the governor has proposed, and I know the leader of the House has come out in the last week with a revised budget as part of the discussion. But the governor's budget proposed a new performance-based funding system. That there was a task force established through the Department of Higher Ed. President Carberry was one of a few presidents around the state who was on that task force and advocated for a new equitable funding stream for community colleges to better meet their local industry needs and student needs. The new performance-based funding formula that's proposed is based on enrollment, completion, and alignment with industry demands, so completers in the right industry areas. The original proposal from the governor had an increase in the state allocation for QCC based on those performance funding matrix, which is almost 50 of them, so it's not simple. An increase of about $4.1 million annually in state funding. A significant jump from the just under $13 million we received of a $63 million operating budget. What the state has done, the leaders of the state worked to do, was make sure that none of the colleges were adversely affected originally in the discussion. And so there was a proposal to add $20 million to the overall community college budget in the state and the governor's proposal. That would come from gaming funds. Again, a recurring theme of responding to the gaming community here. That increase would allow 11 of the 15 community colleges originally to see an increase in their appropriation, and the other 4 would be held harmless. Now, over time, as the performance funding formula were to be utilized, however it rolls out, if it is utilized, there will be alterations in that based on one's own performance and responsiveness to this formula and to their local industry needs. We think this is important for people to understand. It would make a dramatic impact in our region to our ability to deliver more services, more educational programming, and collaborative efforts with our vocational technical schools and our comprehensive high schools, straight through to the 4-year universities or state colleges, as well as with you as industry partners. We'd ask you to understand this, use this information, and take it back in your own area to advocate for it. Again, a reminder for how we can help each other. We need to know your needs, and you'll hear from a panel in a few minutes about how we're responding to their needs, but it's a collaborative discussion. And we'll also tell you about some of our industry forums that are going on throughout the region. We have advisory boards for 24 of our different academic programs who have industry leaders who are serving on that and helping us design the right programming all the time with our accreditation process. Again, advocate for expanded local resources. We are only as good as the resources we have in responding to your needs. We need you to contribute your time, talent, and resources in any way that you're able. With that, I'll turn it back to Liz.
Thanks, Dale and Gail. And next on the docket, we have an update on our new Healthcare and Workforce Development Center. I'm going to invite Steve Marini, who's the Vice President for Administrative Services at QCC, and also Dr. Jane June, who is the Dean of Healthcare at QCC, to come and share with you the latest. It's been an exciting ride, I think we'd all agree. Thank you.
Well, good morning, everyone. It has been an interesting ride for us over the last year and a half or so as we've gone through a request for proposal process to come to the point of a building now in downtown Worcester, the old T&G building, where we will be locating our Healthcare and Workforce Development Center. We'll be moving all of our healthcare programs, except for one, down to this center from the West Boylston Street campus, as well as our Training and Education Center from Grove Street. We're looking at about 72,000 square feet of usable space, 75,000 total, as Gail had mentioned earlier, at 18/20 Franklin Street, the old T&G building. There are 4 floors that we'll be occupying, and I drove by it today, and construction has begun. So there's some dust going on, there are people working, things are happening. It was exciting to see. We worked with DCAM, the Department of Capital Asset Management and Maintenance. They actually performed the RFP process and ran that whole process. And so we now have a partner in WBDC, the Worcester Business Development Corporation, who is the owner of the building and our leaseholder of the building. And we've been meeting on a weekly basis with the WBDC, with DCAM, with Richardson, Gorman, and Lewis, the architectural firm, and Cardinal Construction, going through the design of this very large facility. We are going to have 4 floors in the facility. We will have 40+ classrooms and labs. We'll have at least as many individual office spaces, and Jane June, the Dean of Healthcare, will be going through a little bit more detail just to give you a flavor of how the programs will be laid out and how they'll work together and how we'll be sharing space between programs, both credit and non-credit, workforce development, and healthcare. We will have an entrance on Federal Street. Those of you who are familiar with Worcester, Franklin Street is facing towards the City Hall. There'll be an entrance for us there as well. But our main entrance and sole entrance, really just for QCC, will be on the Federal Street side of the building, and there'll be parking adjacent to that as well. We'll be looking at about 500 to 2,000 students over the next few years, floating in and out of that building with a lot of street traffic. And we'll also have some internal services for those students as well. At least 85 to 200 parking spaces as we look at the growth going on in that area. Again, I just want to point out that there's an extensive team at QCC crossing academic affairs, enrollment services, many people, faculty involved in this move and in this activity. And we're looking at a soft opening in January of 2013, where we'll have a fair amount of our programs up and running, and a hard opening down in fall of 2014. So with that, I'll have Jane June come up to provide some more detail on the programs.
Well, wow. If you see me around the campus and I look like I have a perpetual smile, you know why. Because this is something that's been a vision of the college and of the healthcare division for many years. I'll just go back a little bit. I've been given 5 minutes, and anybody that knows me knows I can't talk about 1,000 square feet in five minutes. So I'm talking about 72,000 square feet. It's going to be a little more difficult, so I'll talk fast. I would be remiss if I didn't go back 5 years and just talk a little bit about the vision of the college.
Vice President of Community Engagement, Dr. Dale Allen, asked me at an informal meeting, what do you see as your vision of healthcare in the future? And I took a piece of paper and I drew a circle, and I drew labs, multiple multidisciplinary labs and classrooms off of the circle. The circle was simulation where all students could come together and simulate skills and multidisciplinary collaboration that they could accomplish prior to going into the healthcare setting. And this kind of became, I don't know, I guess our symbol of where we were going in healthcare. There's multiple efforts to do it. It ended up in the strategic plan, a 5-year commitment within there to put up a new state-of-the-art building for healthcare. And it is not only healthcare, it's workforce, and it's a collaborative effort because it has to be, because healthcare and workforce will work together. And so out of that vision became a project. Not many times in your life can you actually say a dream comes true, but I will tell you this is a dream. This is a dream for our students. This is a dream for healthcare. This is healthcare in the future for what we can educate students to be prepared to work in an ever-changing, dynamic healthcare environment. Being downtown, being close to medical centers, other colleges that emphasize in healthcare is unbelievable, unbelievable. So let me just talk a little bit about simulation. Within this particular building, we have 3 simulation labs. I'll give you a little contrast. Within the college right now, we have one with 2 high-fidelity simulations. Simulation can happen in 2 ways. Simulation happens with high-fidelity mannequins, and it also happens in design of structure. So just briefly, this is not a hospital, as you might think it is if you have seen or been in an emergency department. This is a simulation. And what this allows our students to do is to simulate the actual experience while they're being videotaped. Instructors are doing the scenarios, and out of that becomes a debriefing session. So for those people not in healthcare, I'll just give you a brief, simple example. The heart rate drops, the student doesn't recognize it. So you can then teach off of what didn't you see? What could we have done better? How do we save the patient's life? So these kind of scenario experiences is the future of healthcare. Many times within healthcare, you cannot get every scenario. There are things that happen that are rare. And we can build the scenario to teach the student. I'll just give you another brief example, a rattlesnake bite. We don't see a lot of rattlesnake bites here. But in the Southwest, they do. Our students are tested on a national exam. They need to know that information. So while they might not experience it in a clinical situation, those scenarios that the faculty deem most appropriate can then be developed. Students are actually talking to patients. These patients talk through the use of technology. We can then adjust every one of the vital signs, cardiac rate, cardiac rhythm, and students have to make decisions on how to treat the patient. So what it does is it allows us to practice on not real patients and then move so the students are more, better educated when they enter into critical situations. So there will be 3 simulation labs in the new facility. We go from 1 to 3. We have one on the basement floor, we have one on the 2nd floor, and we have one on the 3rd floor. We are probably quadrupling the number of simulations, because right now we have 2, but the way we designed it, we can't use 2 at the college, we've learned. And now the design will be to use every bay for simulation for every program that's there. Right now they're only in nursing. So the other thing I'd like to talk about as we go through the actual design, and I'm not going to go room by room for sure, but within these, every health program was coexisted with another program that they could learn multidisciplinary collaboration. For example, surgical technology, they're in the operating room, along with radiologic technology, take the films. They together are constantly working in an operating room on patients that have broken arms, whatever. And so we can simulate how the equipment comes into the operating room, how they use the equipment in the operating room, and how they work as a team. Because healthcare is focused on teamwork. So we have those kind of adjacencies. And this is in the basement. briefly I'll go through. This is a lot where our support services are, and you're not going to be able to see it, but generally, and if anybody wants to come up and look at it or have any discussion with me afterwards, I'll be more than happy to talk about it. We have an advising feature, an admission feature, a testing feature. We have training and education availability classrooms. We have 2 science labs because what we have discovered over the years by review of data is we don't have enough on campus. And within this facility, we will have 2 science labs, so a student could actually take their entire program downtown. They don't have to come back to the main campus. They can if they want. We also have a bookstore and a little kind of bistro in a grab-and-go type of food. And we have library services. We also are looking to but to utilize the services of the Worcester Public Library, which is just a few feet away. So using that along with our own library resources will be beneficial. And as we know, most library services, a lot of them are online. So we will have the support for all of the research that students need. And that's basically on the first floor. The second floor is what we kindly call the nursing floor. And I have to tell you, this is also a growth model, and I forgot to mention in the basement, the growth model will include not only radiologic technology, it will be CAT scan, which we don't have now, MRI, ultrasonography, possibly radiation therapy. So those are added programs, and we're building in for that growth model. In nursing, we built in additional seats. Right now, the Department of Labor Studies are telling us between 2020 and 2040 that we will need an increase of about 200 to 400,000 new nurses, not only the replacement nurses that are going out. So this building is designed to take that kind of volume. So we have 60-seat classrooms. We have 2 within the associate degree. We have 1 in the practical. We will run nursing programs day, evening, and weekend. Additionally, so we have between non-credit and credit, we have a CNA lab, Certified Nurse Assistant Lab. And we have a phlebotomy and EKG lab, which is non-credit to credit, so workforce to credit, where students can then, through the Department of Labor grant, upward mobility into one of the health programs of their choice once they successfully complete. So we can do short-term for those individuals that need short-term jobs and long-term. So that's our nursing floor, a lot of things going on that floor. And the third floor has our EMS, Emergency Medical Services. I will just tell you, when I talk about simulation, as the faculty and coordinators were designing these labs, they brought in the future of healthcare. Within the EMT lab, we have an ambulance that is without a motor or without wheels, but it is designed the same size as an ambulance that a patient would go into, which is small for a reason, because you got to learn how to manipulate. And we have a medical assisting lab that is a doctor's office, that you walk in just as you would in a doctor's office, and you proceed through so the students can learn the reality of what's in healthcare. There is a lot more into this. There's many more things I could talk about, but I don't want to take the whole time. So I'm going to end here and thank everybody. And once again, when you see me smile, you'll know why.
Thank you, Jane. Now we're going to shift our focus a little bit to the panel set up to your, I guess, your collective left. So if you could just shift in your seats a little bit, we are going to move on with our employer panel. I'd like to introduce you to Dr. Stephen Budd, who is our interim VP for Enrollment and Student Services. And Steve will be facilitating a panel represented by Whitney Foster of the company Avatar Computing in Worcester, and Sarah Woodward from IPG Photonics in Oxford. So we'll just take a few moments to readjust ourselves and move along. Thank you.
I'm Stephen Budd, Interim Vice President for Enrollment and Student Affairs, and I just joined the college in the last month. I can't tell you how impressed I am with the depth and breadth of the relationships that the college has with the external community. You know, I've been here, like I say, a month, and the vast majority of what I've done is attend events like this. So I'm very pleased to be here this morning. Paraphrase the president and my peers that you've heard from this morning, that the hallmark of an effective community college is the extent to which it not only engages its students, but engages all of its constituencies. And of course, the focus this morning is a very, very important constituency of ours, and that is the employer community. There are lots of ways in which employers engage the college. Could be engaging the students through internships and cooperative education placements, and that's what, Whitney, you're going to talk about this morning.
Yep.
Whitney is from Avatar Corporation. Also, we have with us Sarah Woodard from IPG, and she's going to tell us about a collaboration which IPG has with the college for training its workforce. So without further ado, which one of you guys would like to begin?
Go ahead.
Okay.
Okay. I can't sit to do this. I work for a one-star, and he would kill me if he knew I was sitting. So I'm a football coach. Luckily, I can project a little bit. So I'm Whitney Foster, and you guys got to play Tetris a little bit with your chairs, and I'm going to send you back this way. But Avatar Computing's a small business. We're a service-disabled, veteran-owned small business. My father flew B-52s, and we operate here in the state of Massachusetts, also in Maryland, Florida, and California. We work for the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, Department of Interior, but we also have a commercial division that operates here in the Worcester area. We had the opportunity to bring in some interns from QCC, and we had a great experience. I can't stress enough the quality of the education that they received, the preparation that they had to walk through the door and to apply some very technical, functional knowledge. They were raw in some areas, but what they needed was an opportunity. And that's where we felt we were able to mutually move forward, bring them in, position them to succeed, and to work with them closely on some projects that we wanted to put together. So I'll tell you quickly about one project that we did last year with our 3 interns that we brought in. And we have 3 more right now, and they're working new projects. But last year, we have a customer out in Natick. Kevin, I know you're from Natick back in the day, so it's good to see you this morning. But we had a process that existed for Natick Contracting Division that was a very static entry, Excel spreadsheet. A staffer would go through and populate information, and it would come from multiple sources. And that was a cumbersome project from week to week. For somebody just to maintain. And the problem that we had was there was a lot of data drift. You would see an old version, a new version, when was it updated last? So what we had our interns do was we gave them a little bit of framework to understand how Army architecture works, and it's like a big maze, you know, so you can't just do everything as clean as industry can do. And we put them in a position to take that information, stand up a database, make it accessible through IAS, scrub it through IA so that the transfer was legal. And then we created a mobile app that allowed folks at the Army base to actually fire up an Android device, pull that information from the database, and to have it totally current from multiple sources. So good on the QCC interns. I mean, we kind of threw this up on a whiteboard and said, you know, hey, there's some stuff that we want to try. We have all this corporate knowledge. We know what the traps are going to be, but we're going to need somebody with some technical skill set who can help us accomplish certain pieces of that. And that's what they were able to do. So benefits for the interns, obviously resume building, professional networking. They know they can call me at any time for a reference, a letter of recommendation, something like that. It was a litmus test for their career choices. Do I really want to do this every day? Litmus test for their technical capabilities. Did I learn enough to actually go out and get this done? It was a reward-based outcome. We pay our interns. We believe very strongly that you come in and you work, you should get a paycheck at the end of the week. Tested their communication skills. You know, soft skills come up here and there. You know, talent comes with baggage. That's the easiest way to say that a technical mind is sometimes a special mind, and it takes a certain type of person, I'll be honest with you, a certain type of person to stare at a screen, look at code, and try to find that comma that they put in the wrong place. So that's a special person. Time management, this was a big one. You know, we don't have just 24 hours to kind of work through the whatever. We've got an agenda. We gotta crush it today. And assimilation just into corporate culture. Every organization you walk into is going to have their own corporate culture. Ours is very DoD-centric, but at the same time, you know, they jumped right into that within a couple weeks. They were marching just like everybody else would march. Benefits for industry, some of these are really obvious. It's very cost-effective and low-risk candidate test drive. We actually retained one of our interns. He's currently working on a database migration for the Navy remotely out of San Diego right now, and he's with us full-time. So this is a guy from last year that we picked up after the internship ended. Cost-effective research and development. You know, everyone's got a project that they've always wanted to get to, but they just didn't have the time or the effort or whatever to put that together. It's a great way to bring in a good qualified resource and to actually, you know, create an avenue for that project to be accomplished. Obviously, a short-term resource infusion. Building relationship with the local educational centers. We didn't realize the value of the relationship that we have currently with QCC 2 years ago. So now, when we have a resource need, when we want to know more about what kind of talent is out there in our local area, it's not just posting a job posting out there anymore. I've got a couple folks at QCC that I'm going to pick up the phone and call first and talk to them about what's available out there and how closely some of their programs match what we're looking for. Fresh technical perspectives. You know, sometimes you're the old guy in the room that remembers how we did it technically 10 years ago, and you bring in the young guy and he goes, well, we don't use Windows NT anymore. That's not what we're doing. So it's great to get a technical perspective from people that are passionate about the topic. You get to evaluate your own staff. You know, take somebody who hasn't had an opportunity to be in a leadership position, give them a few interns and help them be in a position to hone some of their skills to lead and to manage people. And then the administration from QCC has been fantastic, very responsive. Everything we've ever needed was taken care of. They are literally there to try to make it better and better and better and better, and it's never gotten worse. So a big credit to QCC. And then this is just quick advice for industry. Challenging projects. You don't want to bring them in and, you know, hey, learn how to refill the toner cartridge. That's not what they've gone to school for. You want to try to find that balance of what can you challenge them to do. Everybody wants to go to work every day and be driven to accomplish something. Give them something that they really feel like they can put their effort into. Clear requirements. You know, it's difficult just to throw it up on a whiteboard and say, see you in 16 weeks. You want to make sure you define projects well. Have patience. A lot of the kids coming in, they're kids. I mean, it's just that easy. And the opportunity for them to come in and to tuck in their shirt and to wear their nice shoes and to do the things that they're doing, that takes a lot for them. And you want to make sure that you realize that they're putting a ton of effort in, but you want to be patient with the things they didn't realize they weren't supposed to be doing. Having attainable goals, putting them in a position to succeed. Communications with QCC, obviously, you know, make sure that if there are problems, if there's, you know, questions or question marks about the internship itself, the program, pick up the phone. They're very quick to respond. And then having rewards-based outcomes. You know, we had a little party for them. It was all about them. It was great. They loved it. It seemed like the best day of their life, which was awesome for us. So it's a great program. We're really excited to participate. We had 3 last year. We have 3 right now. And I just don't see it ending anytime soon. So thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Well, thank you for your evaluation of QCC administration.
Oh, very good.
Appreciate
Very good.
that. Sarah is from IPG, and you've got another little take on your relationship with QCC, and if you would.
Yep. Okay. Good deal. Better? Okay. So I'm Sarah Woodard. I'm the technical training manager at IPG in Oxford. IPG makes high-power fiber lasers, and Oxford is our world headquarters. We've grown fairly significantly in the last 12 years. We started with about 12 employees in Sturbridge, and we're just about 800 in Oxford now, and we're about 2,500 worldwide. And we make high-power fiber lasers, which are used in a variety of industries: medical, materials processing, so cutting, welding, etching, military applications, and constantly discovering more and more applications all the time. From our perspective, we've seen fewer and fewer people graduating with the associate's degrees that we hire, so particularly the electronics and the photonics. And my role has been to see how we can grow our own. And we've partnered with QCC fantastically in order to grow that, to be able to grow our own employees. So what we did is we started with a basic electronics course. We're in our second round of the program now, so we had a full course go through, we're in the second, and gave basically some of our existing employees the opportunity to try it. The incentive for them is more money, different role, different responsibilities. So take people who have maybe high school diplomas or maybe not, who are in an assembly role, who have been good employees, who have been successful, and give them an opportunity to see if this is something they'd like to try. And so we've offered the courses on site, paid time. So if they're working their 40 hours a week, it's overtime. And their risk is they have to put in the effort. And IPG will sponsor them in order to see if it's something they'd like. And the results have been fantastic. We've seen where even somebody who isn't sure that that's the career path they want to take, they have a better understanding of some of the things that they're working with. We've seen a couple changes in our product lines where somebody in testing has been not sure of what they're seeing, and by gaining that theory and that understanding, they've been able to make changes in the procedure that influenced faster production. So it's been a fantastic relationship. I don't have a PowerPoint.
You're doing great.
So we have done the internships as well. We work very closely with the electronics. We have electronics program. We have about one or two interns at a time, consistently. And where we've really utilized it is in this different avenue of help grow. And you'll see the biggest smile on my face when not only are we having these successful technicians, but we have somebody who then enrolls on a more permanent basis for those associate's degrees, so that we can feed the recruitment for Quinsig as well as for us.
Thank you.
Dale, we got a minute for questions. Yes, sir.
Actually, I just want to make a few comments. Falls into the small world category. Whitney mentioned we kind of know each other. I didn't know he was going to be here today. Back in prior life, before being elected to the legislature, I was working as a consultant at the Natick Labs. And the group that I was working with actually had partnered with Avatar to provide their IT support. Because what they found was that Avatar was able to do it, at least as well, if not better, than some of the internal resources at a cost that was competitive. So I want to compliment Avatar and Whitney, his brother Matt, I believe, or day-to-day folks who run the company on the excellent work there. But it's particularly rewarding to Glenn and Whitney here, because we're here to support Quinsig College. And to hear that I wasn't even aware that you guys were using Quinsig for your interns. So it has been a great program. We've been working with the Natick Labs to provide support. Also in the small world category, IPG, you way undersold IPG. In case anybody missed it, they started with 12 people a decade ago. They've got 2,500 people worldwide. But they are the world leaders in high-powered lasers. Okay? The founder of that company came up with a way to concentrate lasers through fiber optics, if I'm not mistaken, which is like, they cornered the market on it. The beauty of it is, they're a Massachusetts-based company that wanted desperately to
the state of Massachusetts space. They outgrew their campus, the space that they had in Oxford, and the only space they had to expand onto was taken up by the leach field for their septic system. They wanted to build a building there. So in working with the legislature, public-private partnership, we were able to get water and sewer lines so they could then take out their leach field, put another building up. If I'm not mistaken, you're going to hire another 350 people, and then we salary $70,000 per year. So I think it's a great example, and hopefully more internships for students from Quid Sig. So I think it's a great example of a great government, private sector partnership, but also a statement that it's all kind of connected here, which is really good. So I'm really delighted with the panel we have today. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Kevin.
Thank you very much.
2 weeks ago, a team from the segment, about 5 or 6 of us, paid a visit to IPG Photonics, a whole morning. IPG was wonderful host, showed us their facility. We had more comprehensive conversations about their growth needs. As part of our anticipation that the Commonwealth will step up and expand the Sigmund's budget, we're posting electronics faculty and manufacturing. We believe that the Commonwealth will do the right thing.
Thank you, Gil.
No pressure, Mike.
Are there any other comments for our panelists? Okay, well, I thank you so much for being here this morning, but even more so, thank you for your confidence in QCC.
As they get settled back down, I'm going to continue to move the program along, and we want to be respectful of time. We appreciate your patience this morning. We will give Senator Mike Moore a chance to respond to the pressure just laid on him in a moment on behalf of his colleagues. But I do want to mention some of our additional key partners that work with QCC, in addition to the industries or the representatives of industry themselves and school districts. Our key partners throughout the regions have been those who are responsible for economic development and growth, and in particular the chambers of commerce throughout the region. We've taken an approach the last 4 years of sub-regional growth and meeting industry needs, and we do that through a leadership group model that's sponsored usually by the local chamber of commerce. And I know that in particular in the room we have folks from that represent the Marlborough Regional Chamber of Commerce, the Central Maine South Regional Chamber of Commerce, the Worcester Regional Chamber of Commerce, the Blackstone Valley Chamber of Commerce, the Milford Chamber of Commerce. I have found out there's no more than 5 others in the region that represent some of those 45 cities and towns as well. But those are our key leaders that help us connect with helping support economic growth and vitality. And one of the things we've done this past year with some of those regions is worked on industry forums, where those leadership groups, which are about 25 to 30 representatives and business leaders and elected officials from that sub-region through the Chamber of Commerce, work with us to identify the growing needs that they have in the labor market. And we've done these in Marlborough over the past 6 months in IT, healthcare, advanced manufacturing, and financial services. Down in South County, we're focused on growth and expansion in advanced manufacturing training. You heard about IPG. But there's a bunch of other folks down there, whether it's Dexter Russell or other companies that you saw up on the list earlier. And we're working with them. And in both cases, in addition to our Healthcare and Workforce Development Center in downtown Worcester, which we know is not opening until January 2014. Sometimes we get excited and say 13. Though it seems like for Steve Marini that it should have been already because he's worked so hard on this for a couple of years. But all of these are guided by these leadership groups. And our industry forums are a chance for us to share data, to share our faculty and expertise in our programs, and to hear from them, like you just heard here, what they think is real in their labor market needs and what their labor supply needs to be. And what we are doing right now is providing a internal effort to, we'll be announcing soon, expanded programming in each of those regions that better align with what we heard over the last 6 months. So it is a chance for us to publicly thank those chambers of commerce, those leadership groups, those folks who are here in addition to our boards, et cetera. So thank you for your time and effort. And just one other thing before I introduce Senator Michael Moore, I do want to acknowledge Miguel Lopez, one of our Board of Trustees members, has been here for the majority of it, so thank you for attending, Miguel. Again, respectful of your time, we're fortunate that many members of the House of Representatives and the Senate are our partners and work with us regularly. Michael Moore, Senator Michael Moore is the co-chair of the Higher Education Committee. I think he and President Carberry speak, if not daily, just about daily, and he's advocating for this region and this approach that we've been taking. So I'd like to invite Senator Moore up to say a few words.
Good morning, and thank you, Dale. And actually, I think one of the most important things about me that he didn't mention is that I am an alum of Quinsigamond Community College. So, 2 years ago, well, actually, yeah, 2.5 years ago, when I asked for the committee assignment for higher education, you know, I had a lot of my colleagues ask, why would you want to do higher education? You know, there's so many other, and I hate to say it, high-profile type of committees that you can request. And, you know, and I said to him, I said, what other committee assignment or job touches so many aspects of people's lives, from educating our kids to people who have lost jobs that need to get new skills to regain their footing. And again, this is when the economy was crashing, regain their footing, get new skills to feed the corporations, the advanced manufacturing that we just saw today, that we heard being talked about. So there's so many positives. And as we saw the slide a little while ago, the economic impact on the region. I mean, Quinsigamond showed a 9.2%. Well, we have 14 colleges and universities in this area. So the economic impact on this region by our higher education institutions is astonishing. I think people don't really realize the impact. Now, and I think as President Carberry commented, that if you look at the funding of our community colleges, when I first got the assignment, Gail was right on the phone with me, and we were talking about the funding. And one of the first questions I asked is, well, how do we fund the community colleges? It was about a 100-point formula that no one could understand. I went to the Commissioner of Higher Education, to different people, and this formula was established years ago, but everyone had a difficulty trying to establish it, and, I mean, to explain it. And also the 5 community colleges that had the highest enrollment in the Commonwealth, and Quinsigamond being one of them, were the 5 lowest funded. Traditionally, the funding had always been who had the biggest political clout at the time. And now, actually, honestly, I'm like, well, I've got some clout now to help Quinsig. But we did it in a way where we worked with the commissioner, we worked with the community colleges, and we actually created a funding formula, or the framework for performance funding. Today, government, we have very limited resources. We have to make sure the resources that we are allocating for whatever program, it's being spent wisely and efficiently, and we have to prioritize that money. And by using this funding formula and the metrics, based on the past results that Quinsigamond has produced, we saw they're allocated to receive $4.1 million in additional funding this year. And that's because when we looked at what they've accomplished, from graduation rates to transfers rates, the programs that they have, the FTE enrollments, what they have done is finally being recognized in the budget. And just as Dale's, Dr. Allen said, that the funding, there's a lot of controversy right now going on right now about the governor's tax package. One positive is that the $20 million that's allocated for our community colleges is not part of that tax package. It's part of the funding that's supposed to be coming in from the revenues from the gaming. So we're hoping, and I'll be advocating, and I know the other senators who are very supportive of higher education will be advocating for that $20 million to stay in the budget. And again, it's not tied into the tax revenue piece that the governor has put forth. So we're hoping that the House is going to follow suit, that they will support the $20 million, and that'll make it a lot easier for us. So I do ask that if you have the time or the opportunity, please reach out to your state representatives or my colleagues in the Senate and advocate for this money to stay in place. It's really up to us and incumbent upon all of us if we're going to support Quinsigamond and the services and the skills that they're going to be providing our workforce and our businesses and future employers. When we did this one, I guess, I know everyone's short for time. Last year, when we did this community college reform, the community colleges were receiving a lot of criticism from our business community. And it was really predominantly from the Boston business community, because they had one or two community colleges that weren't playing nice, weren't developing the programs that were going to feed them the employees that was just talked about. So we've got estimates about 100,000 positions that are open right now, but we don't have the skilled employees. So when we were talking about this, reforming our community college system and trying to get a better integration of our workforce needs, we actually created in the budget last year an Office of Collaboration, which you should be very happy to know that Dr. Allen from Quinsigamond is actually going to be working with that, helping to set up the framework of that. So Quinsigamond Community College is going to have a very big input in how we're going to further integrate our workforce development training programs with our higher education community. And just so you know, when a lot of the other community colleges were opposing a lot of the changes, it really wasn't hard to support the change that we're making. Difficult, rather, because Quinsigamond was already doing a lot of the work that was being called for by this commission and by the business community. So again, I want to thank you for the opportunity to see you here this morning, talk to you, and I want to thank Quinsigamond and Dr. Carberry for all the work she's done, and we look forward to some good news at the end of this budget cycle. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Moore. We're almost done here. I'd like to invite Jeannie Hebert up. She is an officer on the QCC Foundation Board of Directors, and she'll share with you some closing remarks. Thank you all for coming today. Thank you all, presenters and guests. Jeannie.
Thank you. Hi, as Liz said, I'm Jeannie Hebert, and I'm President and CEO of the Blackstone Valley Chamber of Commerce. But I'm very proud to also say that I serve as an officer on the QCC Foundation Board. And I want to thank you all for taking time out of your very busy schedules for being here today. You all support us in so many ways, and we hope, I want to echo this hope again, that we can count on your support for increased state funding for our community colleges, as described by Dr. Carberry and Senator Moore, and Dale, of course. Dr. Carberry is such a treasure. She works so very hard for us. And without her energy and expertise and that of her very talented staff, especially Dr. Dale Allen and Liz Borg, we wouldn't have the fuel that, of the fires of the advancements that are going on at the college today. So I want to thank you all today for that. Thanks a lot. Each year, the QCC Foundation releases nearly $300,000 to the college to support scholarships, programs, and initiatives. But this would never happen without the support of our funders. Thank you. And I'd also like to give a special welcome and extend our thanks to our newest funder. Reach Out for Schools is a 501c3 organization that has offered us generous support for funding for the purchase of textbooks. Reach Out for Schools is supported through Digital Federal Credit Union, and we want to thank them for that. And we also have here with us today representing them Cheryl Miller and Janice Stokla, so thank you so very much. And I'd be remiss if I didn't recognize the generosity of our long-standing funders and supporters. Would you please hold your applause until the end? AAA of Southern New England, Acuity Technologies, Blackstone Valley Chamber of Commerce, Classic Envelope, Coughlin Electrical Contractors, Curry Printing, Dexter Russell, Digital Federal Credit Union, EMC Corporation, Fallon Community Health Plan, Fidelity Bank, Pepsi Cola Bottling Company, Southbridge Savings Bank, UMass Memorial Medical Center, Worcester Credit Union, and the Worcester Chamber of Commerce. And more good news, QCC recently received notice of a $310,000 grant from the Mass Life Science Center to equip our science lab. Thank you so much for supporting your community college. And those are just the funders, of course, that are here today. See their expertise here? We don't make mistakes without them. And of course, there are many, many more funders that support our wonderful efforts here at the college. And what's next on the horizon? Well, we look forward to your involvement in the special celebration of the 50th anniversary of Quinsigamond Community College that will be kicking off in September. And I'm very, very pleased to announce that through the efforts of the foundation that we've been able to engage the services of the firm of Smith & Jones, and they're going to guide us with their expertise and creativity. So there's exciting things ahead. Well, as they say in our neck of the woods, have a valley great day.
Thank you for coming, that's all, folks.